Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back on another video from Seth the Programmer, and today we've got the Boruto Kage versus Madara Uchiha. Now, I think the Boruto Kage, I'm guessing this isn't going to include Naruto, because if it includes Naruto then, yeah, done. But, they'd obviously win. But, if it's just the Kage, I still think that they win this, only because, like, you look at how they actually fought against Momoshiki. I know they didn't do a lot, but they actually, like, you know, threw hands a little bit. And I don't think Madara could do that against Momoshiki. But let's just see where this goes. I hate when I go into my own little thing, because then I feel like I'm just being wrong. But hey ho, let's just get into video. Fire style, subscribe button, fire contact.
Hello everyone.
Hello.
Seth the Programmer.
What's happening?
With me today, I have my son.
Oh, sick, cool.
He's eaten a lot of Big Macs today. He's been a naughty boy.
Oh,
I put him into
no.
his room and I told him, "Listen here, son. Eat my fries when I went to go to the bathroom." Like, he eats too many fries a day.
Bastard.
I'm telling you, he eats at least 4,500 calories a day.
That's a lot.
It's a little bit
much.
He gets a little bit of a gravitational pull.
Oh God.
Not eating. And I was like, okay, I'll take you there, but you can't steal my fries this time. And
Just
you still stole them anyway. So I said, okay. In return for that, we're gonna record today. And he's like, okay, sure. Okay. So
I'm sorry, alright.
He did some research on Madara versus the 5 Kage, the new one. And today, we got you a pretty good video.
Cool.
So the reason this video is actually more interesting than you think, I know a lot of you are like, oh my god, here we go again.
Boruto.
Boruto beating up Naruto Shippuden.
Yeah. Well, it has to, doesn't it? Everyone's stronger as well, like.
Good news, this matchup is actually pretty interesting.
No way. My God.
What you'd expect.
It's pretty
so, yeah, you
interesting.
might actually enjoy this video a lot more than you think. So, with that out of the way, we can kind of get started just with a little brief overview of the characters. Obviously, Madara is a character who previously he was able to fight Hashirama Senju's first Hokage, who is the ultimate shinobi.
Hell yeah, he is.
Madara and Kabuto's opinions. He is pretty much considered the GOAT shinobi of Shippuden before the 6 Paths and 10 Tails characters. Of course, something interesting about that is back in the day when they did fight, Six and I hypothesized that Madara might actually have been stronger than Hashirama a little bit, because Hashirama has an insane regeneration ability. And it's
so that's why he was able to keep going.
He was actually forced to use it many times against
during the fight,
Madara,
right?
He can't regenerate, so it's implied Madara was kind of giving him the smoke.
But because he can heal.
Regenerate, and then they wore each other's stamina down, and Hashirama won.
Right.
So it's interesting that someone who people think that might be able to contend with 10 Tails Obito, which I personally would say 6 Paths Obito is probably stronger than Hashirama.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that he might be able to throw hands a little bit. That Madara might be a little bit stronger than that. Even though he wouldn't beat Hashirama, but he's a little bit stronger than that. And then he gets Hashirama's Sage Mode ingrained into his skin, and then he gets 2 Renegon, the eyes of the Sage of the 6 Paths, which greatly amplify all his abilities and his powers.
Huge.
And then he absorbs his own 10 Tails, which put Obito as greater or contending with Hashirama to begin with. On top of that, and he gets 6 Paths.
Yeah, man.
And then on top of that, another Renegon. He gets the other Renegon. And then he absorbs the God Tree, which is Kaguya's essence, which basically made him go from getting annihilated by base 6 Paths Naruto to Naruto requiring his 9 Tails Bijou cloaks on top of their 6 Paths powers.
Yeah. It's like, I need to amp this up a little bit now. Oh God.
His 2 eyes, he's able to fight both of them with basically just Limbo clones.
Yeah, not even himself.
He gets a 3rd eye, which is confirmed to be a Renegon with Sharingan powers that can then cast the infinite Tsukuyomi,
oh God.
as well as potentially allow him to transport between dimensions, which Kakashi refers to as godlike.
Godlike.
So Madara basically achieves a godlike level of power that even makes the Sages of the 6 Paths, the GOAT of the series, basically say, wow, he's pretty much becoming me, and he's trying to become my
becoming me. Oh no.
That's before, like, a lot of the amps that mentioned. So it's before the God Tree, where he's like around my level. So you can say if he's around Hagoromo's level, maybe Madara can reach that tier of like the Sage of the 6 Paths maybe not his prime, because in his prime he had the 10 tails, all that, whatever.
Yeah.
But you know, even getting to Hagoromo's level as a chakra ghost is like some crazy from Madara.
Yeah, that's mental.
The whole Hagoromo versus Madara thing, that's a whole different topic, because obviously you'd have to debate about, okay...
Well, we haven't got any feats for Hagoromo.
Is the amps he gave Naruto and Sasuke...
Yeah, you'd have to use what he passes over, yeah.
Like half his power just added on top of
Yeah, like
them,
how do you calculate that, yeah.
strong as Madara, or able to fight this god-level Madara? Or did Hagoromo's Six Paths power awaken things within them that
they already
also
had.
made them slightly stronger on top of getting Hagoromo's power, which makes the topic...
Yeah, how do you calculate that? You can't really do that, yeah.
Say Hagoromo did give his Six Paths powers to Sasuke, that's all fine and good. Sasuke gets really, really strong. But what if, in result of that, Sasuke, on top of, say, Kabuto's Senjutsu-type chakras, awaken the Rinnegan, which then amps him even further, right? So that's a totally different
it's not... You can't actually, like, see what he gave them. And again, because there's no feats for Hagoromo, you can't actually, like, see how powerful he is, because we haven't seen him do anything.
Hashirama's chakra, because Hashirama gave it to him, and Hagoromo's chakra, then got close to death, that he got put up to get a Rinnegan.
And with Naruto's Six Paths, it's a little bit more mysterious. It's like, the way it's described as if it's like some god-chosen power-up or something. So Six Paths
Divine.
For Naruto, the Six Paths Senjutsu form, where he has all mastery of nature and blah, blah, blah.
The divine power
That's a little bit
from
different.
above.
Sasuke's is a little bit more blatant, that it might not all be Hagoromo why they're able to fight Madara.
Yeah. It's them as well.
That's totally irrelevant, though. We just want to say that's where Madara is in Shippuden, or Part 2 of Naruto. He reaches a god-like level.
Now.
Obviously, Kaguya
Here we
is
go.
the progenitor and the ultimate force of nature. So obviously Madara...
Force of nature!
In original Naruto really competes
What
with her.
the
But Madara was basically the GOAT in terms of that part of Naruto.
Yeah, definitely.
So the thing that makes this video interesting, though, is that the 5 Kage of Boruto... We've seen Madara fight the 5 Kage from Shippuden.
Yeah, he just slaps
We're
him.
not ready for anybody of Madara's caliber. However, the 5 Kage of Boruto are different because they have been potentially... They're obviously a lot stronger, but they've also potentially have been training
Since
for people
like that.
Kage,
Yeah.
like Madara.
That's true.
They're a lot more prepared.
Yeah.
And
It's like, what if a threat like that comes back? We gotta be ready for that.
Sasuke even bothered bringing them against Momoshiki.
That's true, yeah, why would he...
Who would scare even Kaguya, right? That's why they're even relevant in that contest. So I guess you can get a little bit into their scaling.
So when it comes to the Kage and like scaling to Naruto and things like that, we know that they don't reach that tier of power, that they're not Naruto's level, because Fuse Momo just flattens the Kage. Like he
one-shots them basically.
Yeah, one-shot every single one of them. Chojuro, Kurosuchi, I think, actually no, Chojiro's the only one that gets caught off guard, but doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Kurosuchi, who just gets one shot anyway. And then base Naruto is contending with like the same Fuse Momoshiki, right? He's not winning at all. Momo's clearly overpowering him.
Yeah, he's faster.
He's not getting one shot like the other Kage. So when it comes to these other Kage getting as strong as these 6 Paths tier of power, you have to take into account what type of like training did these Kage do
To get there.
so
like what was it?
Having the thought in mind, like, oh, we need to prepare to fight people like Kaguya, people like Madara.
Yeah, it's all fair and good just saying that, but what do we do?
Doesn't mean that they can't just reach that level, right? It's just like a goal they have in mind.
Right.
So, do we go with the implication that, okay, maybe these Kage have Naruto level potential, possibly even higher, because they go from below Edo Madara to now what people would say is like blitz levels over Madara's strongest form. And how did they get there? I personally just don't think it's that way. Me and Seth were talking about it a bit before the video, like how can these Kage scale to Momoshiki, Kinshiki, but like not be as powerful, if you will.
And there's a few ways to go about it in an interesting way.
Okay, cool.
We need to look at what the facts of the matter are.
Right.
Okay. And obviously it kind of goes down to its roots, which is Momoshiki versus Kaguya. Okay.
Okay.
The reason the Kage are in discussion is because they fight these characters, Kinshiki and Momoshiki, who Kaguya is creating the White Zetsu army for. right? So the problem with that, though, is the statement is somewhat vague. And what I mean by that is, yes, Kinshiki and Momoshiki, when they come to Earth, if they were to 2E1 Kaguya, somehow or some way, would probably defeat her.
Right.
Okay?
And then they're fighting.
We don't really know how.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know why or how. So it's a little bit more ambiguous than people like to make it out to be. So I'm in the firm camp that yes, that duo would
beat Kaguya, right? And then they're fighting them.
They can't even fly. Like, they can't fly. Like, what would they do? Like, they literally yeah. So yes, clearly Kaguya was scared of them. But there's a few reasons you can go into it. Now, in the Otsutsuki or Ishiki's palace, I don't know what you would call it, Ishiki's realm, where he keeps his 10 tails, there seems to be some type of hierarchy among their clan, which, in shocking terms, it actually implies, Ishiki's number 1, which we already assumed. Kinshiki's the bottom. And then Momoshiki and Kaguya are a similar level. But what's weird about this is that if Kaguya's a relative level to Momoshiki way back when, and Kaguya is implied to have gone away from the clan and they can't keep updates on her, and then she becomes stronger, she becomes a lot stronger inside of her dimension, it might be a little bit more ambiguous. And some people theorize that it's not Momoshiki per se. Maybe Momoshiki is rivaling Kaguya, but maybe it's the fusion of the two that then overpowers Kaguya.
Right.
So it'd be the fusion Momoshiki that would defeat Kaguya. And a good example of this is obviously we then see Naruto and Sasuke.
Jesus,
yeah. They perform fusion themselves to defeat his golem, per se, as an example. So if that's the case, maybe there's more arguments that the Kage aren't necessarily, thrashing Kaguya. And a good reason for this as well is that Momoshiki's combat ability, this might get some hate,
okay, go on.
Is actually questionable.
Oh.
The reason I say that is, now originally Momoshiki's original design was that he was very bad at taijutsu.
Oh, okay,
that was his main thing. In the novels, in the original version, he was bad at taijutsu.
Right.
And then it seems like that was retconned for the Boruto Next Generation series, where now he's
right, so like in the original movie and the right, and then they just
of his clansmen that he's absorbed into his DNA, which lets him fight better. But there's another problem with that,
so many questions.
Which is that he absorbs Kinshiki, who was already a melee type to begin with. So that data that allows him to fight better, say in fused Momo form, where he's using Wing Chun or whatever, and doing pressure points.
Naruto.
Yeah. That could literally just be from Kinshiki's line that then is given to Momoshiki. And even when Boruto uses the karma mark, this is then debated if Boruto's karma only contains Momoshiki or if it contains fusion Momoshiki.
That is an interesting question, yeah.
Then fusion Momoshiki could contain Kinshiki's taijutsu-esque DNA or combat prowess. And if that's the case, you may be able to come to the conclusion that Kinshiki is just not as strong as Kaguya, and the Momoshiki who isn't nearly as good as she is at close quarters, and that's why you say he's running away, trying to get distance on Darui and Gaara, trying to spam attacks or whatever. Which, by the way, we never see him use a giant truth-seeking ball or any massive scale attacks like he shot at Naruto against these Kage. It's never shown. But that might be a reason why
I said at the video that they threw hands. Yeah, they threw hands all over the place as they're flying through the wall, through walls and stuff.
Dragon Ball Super, where he gets this massive power, and then he thinks the people in front of him aren't worth his true full powers,
it's
and then
massive.
he gets blown back over and over again until he takes it seriously. And the similar thing might be with Momoshiki, and that's why he didn't launch, these expansive true-seeking orbs at the 5 Kage or whatever have you, because he might think they're too below him.
Not worth the effort, right? Yeah.
I'll let you speak. I spoke a lot there, but
do we even think Momoshiki can use Truth Seeker orbs? We know he can use Rinnegan Rod. We see him.
It's debatable. Obviously, it's debatable. I won't say it's.
Because if we haven't seen him do it or anyone state it.
As to if Momoshiki can do this, but you could say reasonably he should be able to. If he's Kaguya level, he's got the Rinnegan. The Rinnegan gives you access to all 5 chakra natures. I'm pretty sure. Data book 3 says that, or something. So one of those data that's what the true secret orbs are. They're just a big ball of every chakra.
All of the natures combined.
So I think Momoshiki definitely should be able to pull something like that off.
Even if he doesn't, he just never launches that giant Frieza death ball
Yeah.
at them ever. You know what I mean? Like he did versus Naruto ever.
Yeah.
Or at least that we've seen. So, with that out of the way, so even if you say base Momo is fighting Kaguya, and it's like, you know, a back and forth, maybe you could argue Kaguya, if she's relative to him, would probably win, because she's probably a better fighter or something like that.
But
and she has, like, more
they're still
immortality
relevant to
hacks,
each other.
blah, 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 which she did use against Naruto and Sasuke, wink, wink, you know, a lot of times. Yeah, exactly. So, if Madara's, you know, kind of on par with Naruto and Sasuke, give or take, especially with the three eyes, he should be able to also fight Kaguya. Of course, he'd still lose.
Yeah.
He'd lose.
Yeah.
But he would be able to participate in that battle just like Naruto and Sasuke did, at least.
If anything, like, beginning of the battle, Naruto, he's, like, kind of clashing with this Kaguya that's not trying to kill him. But Madara should be able to do even better in an exchange like that, because the only time we see Naruto doing anything against Madara is back when he had his two eyes, and it's against the Limbo clones, right? And Naruto's using his shadow clones, so you may be able to imply, like, Madara's holding back because they're shadow clones, or at least the Limbo clones are. They're, like, holding back because they're shadow clones. They don't really need to go all on the shadow clones. Madara's about to launch Infinite Tsukuyomi anyway, so they're just like, let's just fight a little bit. Because they're not using any Rinnegan abilities, any Rinnegan rods, anything like that.
It's just pure taijutsu. We see it.
He gets his third eye on top of that, which is more power, because we know that when you awaken your own eyes, they're like better than if you borrow someone else's or something like that. So Madara gets another third eye that possibly contains like maybe 4 Jubies worth of chakra.
Yeah. You can go into why you think that is, by the way.
So
we had a talk about that.
Okay.
After Madara launches the Infinite Tsukuyomi, we see that some of the Tomo in his Rinne Sharingan are ripped away. And we know that the Tomo in your Rinne Sharingan get ripped away whenever you're low on chakra because of Sasuke.
Okay.
Right? So when he goes up to launch the Infinite Tsukuyomi, he has, I think, 9.
Right.
And when he comes back down, he has 6. And then the only way he gets them back is when Zetsu starts pumping these above Jubi levels of chakra that Naruto says Madara is getting. And that's when we see, like, the other 3 Tomo appear.
Back. Right. Interesting.
Like, off that implication that each 3 Tomo set is another Jubi, then he possibly got, like, 3 or 4 times Jubi M.
God. Okay. That's an interesting way of scaling that. I like that. That's a fun way of looking at it.
And, the other thing, too,
God, that is some detail. Noticing that, like...
He took Naruto and Sasuke seriously. When he came down, he wasn't fearful or doubtful that he could defeat Naruto and Sasuke. And when he fights strong people, he's very respectful, actually, which people don't really realize. The reason he's really cocky a lot throughout the series is
because everyone's weak.
He's fighting people who are basically ants.
Yeah.
But when it comes to strong people, he's a lot more respectful.
Hell yeah.
Such as Hashirama. And when he comes down to
Thanks for the
Naruto and
eye.
Sasuke, he takes them seriously, but there's no fear at all. There's no doubt in his mind that he's going to solve this case. He thinks he's going to be able to do it based on what he's seen from them. Now, this is all a lot of introduction. This is like
let's get into the actual fight.
Where's the battle?
Yeah.
This is all really important because a lot of people who don't know the Boruto Kage be like, "What? Madara slams? Like, what? He just one-taps them? What?"
Yeah. You'd think, like, all the build-up they've given him this whole video.
And then obviously, you know, people who scale Boruto a lot, they will think that the Boruto Kage just choke slam him because they think, you know, Darui should solo Kaguya and stuff like that, you know.
That's the more side of things.
Yeah. And, you know, there's arguments to be had about it. I'm not saying it's true or false. But for the sake of this video, I think it's fair to say that there's a matchup to be had. Okay? So there's a good matchup to be had.
Okay.
But the problem is, if Madara can fight these Kage at all, like if he doesn't just get like blitzed, one shot and sealed somehow, he unironically stomps them out. Like he stomps the current Kage out, which is what a lot of people don't realize. But let me read you something from the 4th data book.
Okay.
So this is the description of his Limbo ability. So perceiving this phantom is impossible. The enemy's unpreparedness invites disaster. This statement applies, this is off quote, but this applies to the Kage because the Kage would not be prepared for Limbo. They have no counter to it whatsoever. They would not be able to see it or interact with Limbo clones. A person who possesses the Renegon can intervene in an adjacent world, in an extremely distant world. In that place, a shadow is produced, which everyone who is connected with the current world can't feel, so they can't interact with them. Not only will the jutsu user gain a duplicate of himself with equal ability,
Whoa.
but it will also be invisible. So that means we have 4 invisible Madaras that are all equal to himself, and probably have all of his Renegon abilities as well.
Crazy.
Probably. Squaring off against a user, counterattack is impossible. Going against this ability will result in one
Jesus
losing
Christ.
against such a powerful enemy. When fighting the enemy in close combat, the shadow will stay away, but after a time the shadow will return. So basically, if the idea of the Limbo is that if your opponent is caught off guard and will be defeated, then Madara will defeat the Kage rather easily, because all he has to do is have the Limbo clone sneak up on them,
and then
even
just dump.
if they expected it. What do? They can't interact with it.
They can't do anything.
They literally can't do anything, even if they want to do something about it.
None of the Kage have a Renegon. It does not imply they have like 6 paths.
Oh, right, so they've got no way of actually sensing it. Yeah. No sage powers.
6 paths to their power. They don't have this 6 paths level of universal.
6 paths, Renegon, they got nothing. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, it goes crazy.
That type of awareness. So they just can't interact with Limbo in any way other than not.
I see what they're saying. So, like, if they just blitz Madara straight away, sound. But if he...
You also might be able to imply that Madara can kind of command them to block attacks. It's weird. It's a weird ability. But basically, all Madara has to do is use a Truth-Seeking Rod to stab them all in the back at the same time, because there will be 4 of them. We're not including Naruto.
Oh, of course. There we go.
Obviously. But should have clarified that at the beginning.
Well, I guess that anyway, because like, there's not really a discussion there, is it?
Limbo clone for each Kage. He might also be able to soul sap every single one of them.
Oh god.
Which we've never seen any of them really have a soul resistance at all.
Yeah, they don't have any kind of abilities like that at all, do they? They're very basic with their powers. Like Gar's got the sand, and then that's it. Everyone else is like...
It's very ambiguous. But basically, Madara could soul sap them off guard. He could True-Seeking Rod them off guard. He is completely immortal with his third eye. They have no sealing jutsu that would really be able to work on him, due to the fact that he can absorb all of it. The only way they really conceivably can win is if they somehow beat him down so bad he has no chakra, and then somehow find a way to seal him if he's like unconscious or something from lack of chakra, which if he's relative to them is very unlikely, because he can not only absorb their chakra upon contact like Sasuke did to Naruto, or what Nagato did to Killer Bee, but he can absorb their jutsu endlessly as well, which they do use jutsu. And there's just so many win cons. He also has poison spores from Hashirama. He still has Hashirama's Sage Mode.
Yeah.
He still has his Wood Style.
Okay.
He has the Limbo Clones that all can use those abilities as well as the fact that we don't even know how strong his Susanoo would be either.
Oh god.
That's what I wanted to mention earlier. Like he never uses his
Susanoo, yeah.
6 paths.
Because
Jesus, yeah, never thought that. What?
Kaguya, but that doesn't mean that's how strong Naruto's Kyuubi mode would be, or Madara's Susanoo would be. Because the thing about Sasuke's abilities is that Sasuke's abilities, when he first gets them in 6 paths, and I described this before, is that Sasuke doesn't actually have mastery or his full powers when he first obtains them. Naruto does. So while Naruto is kind of gradually getting weaker fighting Kaguya, using all his abilities, his True-Seeking Rod or whatever, Sasuke is mastering his Renegon and gaining abilities
as he's going,
as he
right.
learns how to use them, which is kind of the dynamic they had. So Madara might actually be stronger than Sasuke was versus Kaguya, so even that Susanoo that fought Kaguya probably wouldn't even be a good representation of Madara to begin with, on top of the fact that we think Third Eye might be stronger than them anyway.
Exactly.
So there's so many weird things that Madara has that makes it really
Yeah, I
hard
guess, like...
But the real icing on the cake is just, he could just infinite Tsukuyomi, and like it would be in character. like, and we have never seen any counters or notable things or Genjutsu resistance that these 4 boards.
No, they don't seem to have anything, do they? Yeah, it's a weird one. They're the Kage, and they
Just like
don't know what's going on.
I gave her like them not
Like, you think of the Naruto Shippuden Kage, they got stuff going on.
Right, it's like they have data their untrained eyes for infinite Tsukiyomi.
And Data didn't even work, so
Yeah.
it doesn't even matter. Like,
Oh, alright, fair dues, yeah. I can't argue with that, that's, yeah, it's fair.
And then on top of that, if we just like talk about them running Madara out of chakra, this is just unrealistic.
Yeah.
Like, there is no world in which you can say the Kage each individually have more chakra than the Jubi.
Yeah.
In fact, they don't even have more chakra than Kurama, because Momoshiki was looking all over Earth for all this chakra. He's like, I need that one right there.
The A-Tails had more than them too.
Yeah.
The A-Tails, yeah, he went to the A-Tails first, so
Yeah.
the Kage don't have that crazy Jubi level of chakra. Madara
That's fair as well, yeah, I mean, yeah, if he went straight for Killer Bee.
Multiple times Jubi levels of power and chakra, so yeah.
them running Madara out of chakra is just not realistic. So what you really get is just, it's impossible for them to win.
Yeah.
Like, they literally can't
Damn.
do anything.
Not where I thought it was going.
It's just not likely unless you think that they're like just insanely more powerful. And the only way you really get that is if you really overinterpret Momoshiki versus Kaguya to be like, yeah, base Momo just absolutely blitzes and just flicks her in the forehead like Beerus versus Goku and she dies or something, like, which is just not implied at all
Anywhere. Like,
in anything.
even the Momo over Kaguya statements don't get you there. Like, they don't get you to Momoshiki's gonna descend from the heavens and like forehead tap Kaguya and she's gonna die. Like, you don't get that implication from anything other than like edgy power skills.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's, if anything, it's just arbitrarily stronger, which could be like maybe he outputs one more joule of energy or something.
Yeah.
But like,
We haven't actually got a scale
just
for it,
don't know. It's just too ambiguous. But anyway, that's really all there is to say. I hope you
I didn't
guys
go
did
the way I
enjoy this
thought, but
video.
okay, cool.
When I was first thinking about this, I was like, oh man, am I really going to make a video on why the Kage from Boruto Stomp Madara is going to make people mad? But then when we talked about it, we're like, that's kind of...
Yeah, they can't do anything.
I thought. I like the outcome a little bit. Yeah, Madara's actually pretty cool. I'm glad that
pretty cool.
there's a way to interpret Madara to be relevant in Boruto to this day. And I thought it was
I mean,
cool.
using the
So,
Kage,
guys,
well.
be sure to subscribe to 6, and of course me. Get me to 1 million. Hello?
Let's go.
I'm almost there. And thank you for watching. Yeah, and until next time.
Fair dues. I thought it was going to be, and then we take these guys, and that's why Madara can't do anything. And it was, oh no, it's like they literally can't do anything against them. That makes sense. It makes sense. They haven't got any kind of like abilities to help them like keep up with that, or even sense the Limbo clones, or so. Yeah, that's a cool video. Thank you to Matt. Oh, sorry, I literally woke up and recorded this. Oh, that was a painful stretch. Thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of your video, I upload links in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month or less helps support the channel. Greatly appreciated. Thank you guys very much for that. And thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe, and leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.